Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's activity. I am Bella, and today we will be calculating our carbon footprints, which will help us to better understand the environmental impacts of our daily lifestyle choices. A carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions, including CO2 emissions, generated directly and indirectly by an individual, group, event, or product. By calculating our carbon footprint, we can learn how we are contributing to the rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide, and we might be able to figure out how we can use energy more efficiently. To give you a little bit of background, everyday activities like driving to school, charging your computer, running the washing machine, etc., all have measurable greenhouse gas emissions. So today we're going to look into how our family's activities add up in a year in terms of environmental impacts. Then we can explore how we might be able to make changes to lessen our environmental impacts, both individually and as a family. So your mission is going to be to gather all of the information necessary in the carbon footprint handout that I've provided, and use this information in the website provided by the Cool Climate Network, which you should have a link to learn about how all these different aspects of our family's lifestyles can generate these greenhouse gas emissions. And the handout that I put together for you is kind of long at first, but don't be intimidated. It will take you step by step through each section of this process and prepare you for a really easy website to be created right after this. So I'm going to be available all day today, and if you have any questions, please send me an email. We can set up a Zoom meeting and discuss how this is going, how I might be able to help, etc. You're going to need to be able to gather a lot of information, and you might need help from your parents or guardians in some cases to find it. This is including electricity bills or maybe heating bills if you use natural gas, etc. You don't have to have exact estimates for things. It's okay to make a guess. We know that we live in Vermont, which has very distinct seasons. So if you're looking at your heating bill, for instance, it might make sense to average a winter bill and a summer bill, or average a bill from every season if you have access to that, just to get an idea of how these things change throughout the year. There are no right or wrong activities or answers to any of these activities, and so you just need to do your best. Okay, so now we're getting to the point where you are prepared to begin today's exercise. If you'd like more information about exactly how to go through the Cool Climate Calculator and use all of the different functions on the website, keep watching this video. If you think you're ready to start going through the worksheet by yourself, go for it. And if you feel like you have some questions, come back and watch the end of this video. It's me going through the different sections of the website and showing you kind of how to click on different things, how to estimate different parts of the website, and most importantly, reminding you that you can use the question mark icons throughout the website to get a little bit more information about what exactly the website is asking you for in terms of information about, heating, travel, etc. And remember, just do your best. We're just trying to figure out what's going on and how all of our different activities that we do in our lives impact the planet around us. So, good luck, and let me know if I can help in any way. So, now that we understand what we're going to be doing today, we're going to log on to the coolclimate.org calculator, which you have the link to on your handout. And the front page that I'll show you will be essentially this, but with a little bit different footprint, as mine has already been updated and saved. So you'll start by adding in the information on the left. You can adjust your household size based on how many people live at your house, and that will change your calculator. And so essentially you'll see this changing the whole time you fill out your getting started, travel, home, food, shopping section. And you're going to do these 5 and take a screenshot before you go in to take action, just so that you can compare your current footprint to the footprint that you could have given changes to your lifestyle choices. So you'll adjust all of these different choices based on some questions you probably need to ask your family members around gross household income, etc. And then you'll move on to the next section and you'll look at travel. And for instance, in my house, we have 2 cars. I'm not sure why there are 3 on here actually. And one of them is a Subaru that gets good mileage and the other is a Prius, which gets great mileage. And this is my partner's old car actually, which got less good mileage. And so we've added all of these cars in here and written down about how many miles we might drive in a year. And this is an estimate. And then you can see here that a lot of our emissions are related to these car fuel calculations. And so now that we don't have this car anymore, we can get rid of it and see our car fuel change dramatically. Next, we can go to the home section and you'll look at your power bills for this one. So this one will probably require the most sleuthing on your part. And so you'll need to look into how much electricity or how much money your family spends on electricity in a year. That's how I thought it would be easy. You can also change your electricity calculation directly to kilowatt hours if your bills come in kilowatt hours, so total usage, and you can input that information instead. You can also change it to the month and look at your monthly bills rather than the total for a year. And remember that because we live in Vermont, these bills can change dramatically. Maybe you have AC units in the summer and that bumps up your usage in the summer, or you have electric heating in the winter and maybe that makes your electricity bill greater in the winter. So try to get an average if you can of a few different bills just to make sure that you're evening out throughout the year if possible. The same goes for natural gas if you use that for heating or heating oils and other fuels. And then you'll look at your total square footage of your house. How big is your house? And if your parents will probably know this information, but if not, you can get out your tape measure and measure each room and then add up all of that square footage. So you just do length and width per each room and then add it all up. And then you'll look at your water, and they've kind of made this part pretty interesting. So you can basically say, I think we're pretty similar to other households, or maybe we make really smart water choices and we're using a lot less than other households, or maybe because there's so many of us living in my house, we use more than normal households, or what an average household might need. And so you can play with that depending on what you think your household is using. And then you can click next, and that will take you to your food section. And here you're going to make estimates about how much of each of these foods your family eats. You can do it the simple way, or you can go to advanced, and it will separate out different types of food choices so that you can kind of be more specific here. And that might help if you have dietary restrictions or choices about whether you eat red meat, fish, etc. Then you can move on. Oh. Yes, that's the ad at the bottom. Then you can move on and look at shopping, how much you spend a month, and you can move that around depending on what your family estimates are surrounding costs of living, essentially. And that goes for goods, which are the things that you buy, versus services. Maybe your car needs to get checked up on, or doctor's appointments, etc. So this is just looking at different ways that we interact with society monetarily. And then once you finish up with all of that, you're going to come over here and you're going to make a screenshot of this area so that you can put that on your website. So it tells you how many tons of CO2 equivalent per year your family or your household uses, excuse me, and then tells you how that relates to the average household in your area. And there's, again, no right answers here. We're just doing this so that we can explore. So now that you've got a screenshot of your final footprint, we can come back and look at the take action page. And this page is quite interesting. You can go through and they've got all of these different suggestions on different things you might be able to do in order to take action. And some of these are tricky. Some of these you cannot necessarily do. Like, of course, you can say, hey, family, it'd be great if we purchased an alternative fuel vehicle. But of course, if you have a car that's running well, it doesn't necessarily make sense to replace it. And so you can click not relevant here, which is what I've done. And you can kind of slide down. Maybe you can't tell them to commute to school. Maybe it's not the right choice for you. That can be not relevant. And so you just click on this is not relevant to me. But you can ride your bike to school if it's safe and it's something that you're interested in doing, or take public transportation. Maybe take the school bus every day or a few times a week. And you can go, oh, I already do this, or I plan to start doing this, and kind of change these. And you'll see again that your calculator continues to change as you make these pledges. Maybe you carpool to school, you get a ride with friends, or you change your flight plans. And the flight kind of section of this calculator is interesting because we're coming off of a year of very reduced air travel. So try to make an estimate based on how much your family usually flies, if you're a family that takes vacations out of state or out of country, and make those estimates based on what you would do in a normal year, maybe not last year, just because travel was so restricted. And then you can look through these and see kind of what else might be relevant to you and what you might be able to do. Again, installing solar panels is a wonderful idea and something that might be really, really great for the environment, but is also potentially not possible or not something that you get to make that decision. And so that's okay. And you can just say, this is not relevant to me. And you don't have to respond to every single one, and that's okay. But once you get to the bottom, take a minute to think a little bit about things that aren't on this list that you might be able to do.